and your nights of confusion. It seems oh so long. Your ship has lost anchor, and the storms got you drifting, but your night's almost over. So ride out your storm. Ride out your storm. God's right there with you. You may not feel it, but you're not alone. You're hurting now, but your answer is coming. So hold on to Jesus and ride out your storm. Remember his promise, said I never though the waters are raging.
Pleasant good evening to all our listeners and our viewers. We are on Facebook and also on YouTube. Pleasant good evening to you. We hope that you had a very good week so far. Today is Wednesday, the 16th of the month. The days are rapidly going by, Brother Steve. I'm sure you want to say good evening to.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, Brother Lieutenant. Good evening to our listeners, to our regular listeners, and those joining us for the first time, our members, our friends, those here and abroad. We know we have some regulars in the diaspora. Good night and welcome.
Yes, and the numbers keep increasing, Brother Steve.
Yeah.
And we are very happy, and the feedback so far is that people are enjoying the program. They appreciate it. You know, you meet people every day on the street. I just met somebody just on my way here and was saying, well, he said, I'm so happy to meet you. I listen to the program every Wednesday evening, and maybe today no less than about 6 or 7 people met me and, told me how they enjoy the program. They do not miss. But like anything else, sometimes you say hi to them, you ask their names, and as soon as you leave, sometimes you forget the names. But we are happy that you have made it a date with us every Wednesday from 6:30 to 8 o'clock.
That's right.
We always have some information we can share. And we want to say this evening, Brother Steve, we have been learning a lot from the people themselves. It's a two-way thing.
Yeah.
This evening, Brother Steve, we want to, as we always do, to extend our heartfelt sympathies to those who may have lost their loved ones. And we want to wish those who are celebrating whatever that special occasion is. We want to tell you that we want to celebrate with you. At this time, I want to wish a good friend of mine, Rosamond Libren. I want to really extend some greetings to her. She's not, she has not been too well, and I want to extend some greetings to her. Also, my good friend from your area, Brother Pierre Louis, who is at the hospital. At this time, a member of the Public Service Commission. We want to wish you, brother, a speedy recovery. And, Brother Steve, I don't know whether you can think of anyone who's celebrating. It cannot be your birthday again, Brother Steve. Last week was your birthday.
That's right.
You may still be in the celebration mood, but definitely.
Well, you're right.
You
I took a few days off. I'm still on vacation. But February is always a special month. We have several people celebrating birthdays, and my daughter is coming up, my brother is coming up. So yeah, we have a lot of people. So whoever is celebrating a special occasion, we want to join you as you celebrate that special occasion.
The Calypso fraternity have lost
Yes,
one of its
Lady B.
members, Lady B.
They call her Lady B.
Yeah, Lady B. So we want to extend our condolences to her family
And her fans. Yeah.
and her fans and to the Calypso Association.
Absolutely.
I remember when she just came on the scene, I bought a couple CDs from her. I always patronize her.
Nice up-tempo,
I always
nice.
support.
She made some nice little contributions.
Yes, my brother Steve. So may her soul rest in eternal peace. This evening, friends, we are going to spend a little time. I am hoping, Brother Steve, next week we can spend some time really looking at the history of the Dominica Public Service Union.
Right,
Spend some time, go in depth looking at that. From the time it was established to the struggles of the 70s, what happened in the 80s, the 2000s, and so on and so forth. But this evening, Brother Steve, what we have agreed to do, what you and I have agreed to do, is to really look at this PSU and to ask ourselves this question, whether the events, the things that happened in the 1970s should be what we should really build the union on. You understand? Because a number of people believe that the way forward for this union is to really look at the 70s.
Yes.
And when you look at the DPSU in 2022, the question is, are we still defined by the role the CSA played in the 1970s? Right? Are we defined in 2022? Are we still defined by the role the CSA played in the 1970s? What is it that's different? What has changed? What is it that's no longer there? What were the opportunities before? What were the events? What were the things happening in the world? What was the political culture? How were our people behaving or thinking in those days? And Brother Steve, before I even comment on that topic, I'm going to ask you to open the baton.
Absolutely, and let me say that I think it's a very appropriate topic. Is the DPSU still defined by the role, and I want to establish that it has even evolved in name. Is the DPSU still defined by the role that the CSA? So back then it was known as the CSA in the 1970s. Well, then I want to unpause it and say that yes, I think the expectation of many people is that we should be defined by that period. That is the expectation of many people. But I beg to differ. It is one of those periods, I agree, that we have to contend with. It's one of the high points of Hegel that we have to contend with. But we have to understand the whole world was in that mode This is the era coming from the 1960s of Martin
Correct.
Luther King, of Malcolm X, fighting for civil rights, the civil rights movement, the human rights. The 1970s was the period of the Black Power movement, movement for a better Dominica, Caribbean movement, the Dreads, and we understand there was a period of heightened political upheaval, social activism, a movement for civil rights, and they were all players in the society that was part of that process. The protests at St. Mary's Academy, and the role that Brother Jermaine played, the whole upheaval around all the dreads that were gone down, and the Dread Act, Brother Later, that created that period of turmoil, and statements by politicians, coming out of that period of colonization. So here it is, you had a period that preceded the 1970s where Eoli Blanc led that challenges the status quo. I've read that he said he was the first Black Power person to really step up and challenge the status quo. So that was a different era, where you find that there was a collective move that was seeking change and seeking social justice, and the unions of the time, not just the CSA, it was a number of organizations, the unions of the time, rode on that wheel. And the General Secretary of the CSA then, Charles Salvin, who is now President, His Excellency, of course, took an opportunity. And there were other organizations, political organizations. The emergence of the National Youth Council in early 1970s.
Of which I was Vice President.
You were Vice President at the time, Pierre Charles' involvement. So it was a number of organizations trying to come together to forge a movement of change at the time. So it was not just trade unionism, it was political activism, it was youth activism, it was church. In the midst of that, there were major social issues and economic issues, heightened unemployment, the movement for independence, and the union just rode on that wave. Do we have that wave presently? I beg to differ.
And definitely, Brother Steve, we had to understand that it was not just a Dominica move.
It was
It was right across the region.
Yeah.
And you could even go further than that. Well, I think you have alluded to that when you made mention of Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
So there was that international drive,
Correct.
that international mood for liberation, all over the world. And you're correct, we were coming from the 1960s, where political leaders were nationalizing a lot of private businesses. So you look at what happened in Jamaica, what happened in Trinidad and Tobago, in Guyana, and so on. You had leaders who were really pushing for nationalization. Apart from political independence, they were pushing for nationalization of natural resources of their respective countries.
Correct.
So there was that drive, there was that mood, and so that level of militancy. And one of the things I like, one of the things that you have said that I like, it was not just the trade union, it was everybody.
Correct.
Now in Dominica, when the union took some serious action, right, against the regime at the time, reading the history of the CSA at the time, some of the things that the CSA stood up for, the union had the full support of other unions, like the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union, of which Louis Binois, aka Zaboka, was the president at the time.
Correct.
And you also had Anthony Frederick Joseph as the general secretary of the Dominican Amalgamated Workers Union, DAWU, right? So you had that strong level of solidarity, and people were coming together. And of course, Brother Steve, we cannot forget that there was the political influence, and which I could bravely say that there was a political biasness, right, towards towards political regime at the time, and therefore one cannot miss out on those things. The question is, has the situation changed? But let's see, we have an early caller, so maybe the person is about to answer my question. Good evening, caller. Thank you so much for calling. You're on. Please go ahead, make your point. Good evening. We're not hearing you clearly at all. I'm not sure whether there is a problem with the phone or something. What?
You have to try.
Okay, you have to try maybe another number. Right? Our numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, and 449-3097. Let's try this one, overseas line. Good evening. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, Brother Laker.
Okay, we hear you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Yeah, but I was trying to come because I was hearing Brother Steve far. Brother Steve, good afternoon.
Okay, we will increase the volume and
yeah, I don't know, but I was hearing him real far. Like I could hear him, but it's like he's somewhere in the bush somewhere.
All right, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but as usual, Brother Laker, I'm early, but I listened to you on the hot seat yesterday.
Oh, that is Talk on the Block.
With Sean. Yeah, with Sean Douglas.
Mm-hmm. We might
and you were brilliant, man. I called, but I had them to only ask you one question.
Yeah, I recognize your
because
voice.
You know, sometimes when you're on this program, the time went real fast, real short. You know, so
we're talking about this 1 hour.
Brother Lep, I think that's a good idea. You mentioned about the history of the union. You know, that's a good idea because a lot of us, even some of us know, but some of us forget, and the younger ones don't know. So I think that's important. But the first thing that come into my mind when you say that is, I wish Brother Alvin, because I didn't even know he was a general secretary.
Oh yes,
Alvin Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he could call in when you were going to give a little summary on the history.
Mm-hmm.
But Brother, look on another point. A lot of these people that criticizing you, saying the union, although I don't look at, I wouldn't take it personal because I always tell you I know clearly and I understand damn well that Mr. Leta is not the union. Because you're criticizing the union, to me you're not criticizing Mr. Leta because the union strength, as we all know, depends on the membership. Now, a lot of these people are criticizing you. When they call for a demonstration or a gather, they don't show up, you know. They don't show up. Now, the era of Charles Abraham in the 70s and today is chalk and cheese, it's a two different environment, two different times. For me, I want to compare them, so they cannot expect you to behave like the way Charles Abraham, because number one, I always tell you, Brother Leta, I think the union should have the liberty to align with any political party or any president that is more friendly to the union. That is my view. And Charles Abraham, that's what he was doing. Although I still feel Patrick John was friendly to the union, but Charles Abraham said we were doing political mischief, and that is one of the difference a lot of people don't recognize between you and Charles Abraham. You are non-aligned. You don't take side. You're not associated to no political party. So some of us that want you on our side will give you blows to try to get you to come to our side. But I slap around them, I say, you know what, give Brother Leta his liberty, give him his freedom, let him do his job. But in my view, I always feel the union have all the right, and it's not in Dominica, all over the world, the union always align with a political party or a president that is more friendly, that will meet the demands of the workers. So I always advise you that you should align with, I don't care which party, the party you think that's going to do the most for your members, I think you should align with that party or that president or that whatever. But that is my view. But the thing is that the union job is not to really play politics, because you play politics now, and when the party change, what you going to do? You know it, and that is why I think you make a wise decision, because you pressure one government because you don't like them, and then when another government come and it's your government, you cannot pressure them, and that is unfair. So I always support you, brother Lee.
Thank you.
Just need more information, and we have to understand how the system works. You know, but one, as I say again, Charles Savre error. Because he was a politician, he was an activist, apart from the president of the CSA. And that is one of the main differences between the way you operate and how the same thing. But I wouldn't contest, as you know, people were more independent, people had the liberty, there wasn't so much victimization. So I don't know how people could compare these two, brother. It's a different era. But anyway, I listen to you, my brother.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thanks for calling.
I was still waiting for my show.
Okay, we're happy. Right.
As you know, I'm in full solidarity. But before I go, I want to congratulate those people in Salisbury. Some of them running for they forming the first
Village Council.
How you call?
Village Council.
Yeah, the first village council. And there are few names, I wouldn't call names because I don't know how they do it, if they run as a group or if they run as individuals, because some of the council getting caught up with politics. You know, like you have some of United Workers Party members and some Labour Party members. But I feel a village council should just look for the best people to deliver for the village.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, just wish them well, and may the best people them win in Salisbury big up.
All right. Okay, God bless you. Thank you so much for calling. Yes,
But I just want to clarify, it's not the first village council in Salisbury, yeah? Because I was very involved in the present iteration to establish village council in Salisbury.
Okay.
Mr. Toussaint. So there was a village council in Salisbury. It was disbanded, so this is the second attempt.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Before we comment on the last caller's comment, let's take this caller. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Yes, it's me again.
Oh, that's good. We hear you. Nice. Loud and clear.
Brother Steve, I don't know. Go closer to the mic or what? Your tongue is very far.
Because I'm very close to the mic.
So it might be the volume. Okay, the technician, if you're hearing us, can you just come and check that out for us, please?
Mr. Letter, you don't?
I have the wrong mic. You hearing me better now?
Yes.
Oh, you had the wrong mic then. Okay.
You hearing me better?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Letter, you do not expect those things now to be like before, you know.
Mm.
It was far different set of people. People that stood on their own. They were independent. They wasn't dependent. They wasn't depending on nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have our people dependent. They're depending on pal rep and all kind of things. So you cannot expect it. Even the business places, all of them, some of them depending. They don't want to show their true colors. So you cannot expect it to be like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
We have plenty greedy people in the country right now. Plenty greedy people. They have to say, me, not me, I want a scholarship for my child, I want that. It's a different era altogether, Mr. Lisa. So you cannot expect him to be like Ayatollah time at all.
Thank you. she always add a little spice to her contribution, something that will make you laugh, you know.
Indeed.
Ayatollah.
Yes.
But I'm sure he did not mind being referred to at the time
I hope he
as
doesn't mind now.
Ayatollah. Yeah, but it's really true. And
yeah, but what's a different era?
It's a different era.
And the union has evolved.
But you see, brother, what I find with a lot of our people is that they make their contribution and their criticism not based on any form of research and reading extensively
Yeah.
to know exactly what is happening and so on. But it is more based, in a lot of instances, it is more based or they more attack you personally.
Yeah.
And that has become the nature and the characteristic of a number of our people. And the sad thing about it, Brother Steve, is that even those who would have traveled, some, and Mark, I'm using the word some, I'm not generalizing, and you would expect that living in a more affluent society or in more affluent societies, they would be able to really make a contribution looking at things in a more professional way. But what you find is that personal attack still exists. Instead of looking at the issues, they attack people.
Yeah.
And I have a difficulty with that kind of approach. It cannot be a situation where if you want to make a contribution, you must attack Steve personally. You must attack Leighton personally, or even in other things. I mean, people are struggling, but it's a number of Dominicans who are interested in seeing national non-government organizations, NGOs, and other social organizations function.
Yeah.
They are going through a lot of frustration. I mean, this thing that existed in the 70s, YCW,
Yeah.
Scouts movement, Brother Steve.
Where are they?
Girl guides.
Even if they exist, how effective are they?
Are they
How
active?
Are they active?
Exactly.
And we can ask the same question of even our own organizations, our unions. Are they as organized or as active as the 1970s as a collective?
Exactly.
In fact, I mean, we know which unions are active in Dominica. Which union you hear in Dominica is mainly the DPSU. And any activism that's happening in Dominica, the main channel is through Q95, which has a redacted listenership. So you do not have that disgust in the country that is causing a mass movement that would bring civil society organizations, the church. Remember, the church was involved in the 1970s.
Every institution,
every aspect of our society
had a role to play.
Had a role to play. But presently, we are all disjointed, who do not conform to the present administration. Some have been coerced or bought. Some have been influenced. Others do not want to speak out lest they are victimized. There are significant issues that should cause us to want to have certain things corrected. And if it means protesting, people should be disgusted and of the issues of full disclosure of what's happening with our resources, the issues of corruption, the issues of victimization, the public admissions by our leaders that they victimize people on political grounds. There is an atmosphere to actually cause people to get angry. But people have their own agenda. And it is that personal agenda that people want to impose on the union. In other words, some people want to stay in the background and say, why the union not shutting down the country to take out the government? All right? That is the interpretation that I have come to realize, that a lot of people want to project their objectives on the union and expect us to be the ones to really lead and take the measures required to take down the government on their behalf. And I don't think that is the approach. If we are disgusted about key social and economic issues, then I believe there needs to be a national movement of the various stakeholders being bold enough, and the union will step forward to work collectively with others to ensure we address those issues.
In other words, it must be a situation when you want to address national issues where people come together. It cannot be one organization, because even within that organization, you will have people who will not support
That's right.
whatever that organization is doing.
Yeah.
So already within the organization, you have differences. But when people are part of different organizations, and those organizations are in solidarity with each other, then it's a different situation. So the question is, where are the farmers' organizations? Where are the employers' organizations? Where are all the NGOs? Where are they? Where are the women's group? You know?
Yes.
These are the things, and I believe those who are in the background criticizing and insulting, they should say to us, what is it that they are doing? Apart from just criticizing, what is it that they are doing?
Personal responsibility.
Responsibility that they have taken to make sure that there is a movement
for change. Yeah.
And I do not get the sense. I believe a lot of people, they speak, they criticize, they talk loud, but they are not doing anything to really help the situation. Calling the radio station and making statements, criticizing people, insulting people to some extent, and so on, will not help any situation.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when you display such behavior, it only helps those with whom you are not satisfied, because they realize there is division.
That's right. You're disjointed, you're divided.
And that is something people have to begin to understand.
In fact, Brother Lita, I posit that the present day leaders have studied what happened in the 70s, studied what divides us. They understand that there is not that appetite for us to come out in our individual cocoons and come together. So they're capitalizing on that. They're capitalizing on the lessons learned from the 1970s. So you see the present Prime Minister, for example, sometimes will actually make public statements, but when the pressure begin to mount, for example, when there was the protest at the port, or when the protest happened at the college, he will step forward and try,
because he is a politician.
Exactly, he will come forward and try to resolve the issue. So because he knows what can escalate into a situation that is untenable.
So that is why, while I was on talk on the block, and this person criticized and said, "Oh, the Prime Minister is not afraid of Thomas Slater." First of all, I don't want people to be afraid of him.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't want people to be afraid of him. The fact is, you cannot prevent the Prime Minister from making a statement.
Exactly.
The Prime Minister, you cannot tell the Prime Minister.
And he's a politician.
He's a politician. So as soon as the Prime Minister hears of a protest or plans for a protest, the Prime Minister realized the union had a meeting and the meeting was successful in terms of attendance, he is going to come up with something to discourage people.
Of course.
And you understand what I mean? And because that is how politicians behave. So when the Prime Minister makes some statement and say that he run things in Dominica, are you going to blame the union leader for a statement made by the Prime Minister? We expect the Prime Minister to say that.
Of course.
Because all over the world, Prime Ministers will make such statements.
In the heat of the moment, is to invigorate action in his crowd. When he make a statement, emotional.
But in spite of whatever he may say, when people stick together, when members stick together, then he must go in his shell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you rightly said, we saw that with the State College, we saw that at the port, and in a number of other areas. And Brother Steve, history will show that we have had our struggle with every single Prime Minister,
every administration
that has managed this country from the time we became independent. We had protest action under each and every one of them.
Absolutely. We'll take a few calls.
Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
That is why he has divided the nation. Because remember, in those times, 79 and whatever, the nation was together.
Right.
but he has divided the nation.
Exactly. That's the
Except
lessons
for
learned.
him, give them houses, they for him, they stuck with him and whatever he's doing. And remember, you have the best under the Workers' Party. The Workers' Party never give you a chance to take the road. When they see sick out, they will do what they have to do. Thank you.
All right, we'll take the overseas line. I think this person has been there for a little while. Oh my God.
Just cut off. Call again.
No, not cut off, but it's very noisy.
Oh, yeah.
Caller, please try again. Yes,
Yes.
I think she's making some point because the success, or let me not say the success, but for a politician to achieve some of the things he wants is to make sure that there is division
Yeah.
among people
Yeah.
who may oppose some of the things that he or she would want to do. Divide and rule. That is one of the ways, by making sure that certain things which would affect your popularity does not take place. All right? So when, for example, a union stands up and you decide you want people to be appointed, because the objective, dear brother Steve, is not to remove government from power.
No.
The objective is to ensure or to make sure that junior clerks and other people are appointed. So here we made statements, we issued threats and so on, and we were serious.
Yeah.
We call a meeting of our members. The meeting before was successful. The very same day we called a meeting, the government decided that the Prime Minister would meet with junior clerks. At the end of it, well, you remember, Brother Steve, I always said, let us not be bothered about that.
Yeah.
There is no way
It will be sustained.
it will be sustained.
Yeah.
All right? You remember me saying that?
Yeah.
But what happened at the end of the day? At the end of the day, a number of junior clerks got appointed.
Yes.
But what was our objective? The objective was
that they get appointed.
they get appointed.
Yeah, which is the work of the union. Yeah.
We had a situation at the port.
Yeah.
The objective was not to remove government from power. The objective was to get the management of the port at the negotiating table
Complete the negotiation.
so that we could complete negotiation.
Yeah.
So we decided to embark on a certain course of action. What happens? As soon as it started,
Yeah.
the nation was being addressed.
By the Prime Minister.
I don't care what was said to the nation.
Right.
The satisfaction that I got, Brother Steve,
Yeah.
was that the people got themselves back at the table,
Right.
and we concluded
So our
negotiations.
objectives were met.
Our objectives were met.
Yeah.
We had a situation at the State College. Same thing, right? We still have a lot of little things to make sure that we follow up with.
That is resolved. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, some of the issues were resolved.
Right.
The people were paid the money that was owed to them.
Correct.
The board was appointed.
Correct.
And so on. So when we look at all those things, I believe the union has been successful.
has been effective.
Yes, very effective. We have not shut down the country because it never reached the
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
where we had to shut down the country.
Right.
But our objective were met. And that is what people have to understand. So if you are saying that the union, we are not doing what was done in the 1970s, the first thing you have to say to us is what is it
Yeah.
you want us to do? In other words, what objective
Yeah.
are you proposing for us?
Yeah. All right, John, one of the important points that must be made is that the union of the 1970s was not as, it may have been more militant, but it was not as organized as the union today. All right? Our constitution is a more modern constitution. All right? That gives very clear directives as to how the operation and the governance of the union should go about. Okay? The constitution establishes the authority of the membership. It establishes the role of the general secretary. It establishes the role of the executive. So it is a different structure altogether. And while some of the goals may be similar, the union presently have its own mandate, and a lot of the action that has to be taken must be sanctioned by the general membership. So while the general secretary, the executive, may propose a course of action, until it gets the approval of the general membership, especially when it's on a large scale, then the union cannot pursue on certain actions. All right? But I agree that if there is cause in the country, for example, electoral reform, which is a major national issue, and key leaders in the country are able to come together, discuss it, come up with a plan of action. And I think even the government should be invited to the table to participate in such a discussion. And for us to really do the serious mobilizing and organizing and have serious campaigns around the country to educate, not just on radio. You know, one of the challenges, with opposition voices, including some of us, we are confined behind the radio, behind the normal means of communication, when some of the organizing and mobilizing needs to happen at the community level.
Correct.
There needs to be greater cross-cutting dialogue among the leaders, the activists in the country, and not to blame each other, but to find areas of collaboration for common interests. And I think that is one of the significant
you have to reach out to the people so that you can influence them, right? And that is why even some time ago, when people were saying that we were not visiting some more places, we embarked on a program where myself and Michael, Arundel, Thomas, we would visit different workplaces, find out what the issues are, discuss with the people and so on and so forth, the members and so on, because we recognize that it is very important to move to the various workplaces. However, with the advent of COVID that has placed a thing on us. But you are so correct, Brother Steve, right? You are very, very correct.
Every time you kiss me, I'm still not certain that you love me. Every time you hold me, I'm still not certain that you care. Though you keep on saying you really, really, really love me. Do you say the same words to someone else when I'm not there?
Suspicion
Torments my heart.
Suspicion
Keeps us apart.
Suspicion
Why torture me? Every time you call me and tell me we should meet tomorrow, I can't help but think that you're meeting someone else tonight. Why should our romance just keep on causing me such sorrow? Why am I so doubtful whenever you part aside?
Suspicion
Torments my heart.
Suspicion
Keeps us apart.
Suspicion
Why torture me? Darling, if you love me, I beg you wait a little longer. Wait until I drive all this.
Let us say good evening to our brother Augustus Lewis. You are viewing. Thank you so much, and I hope that things are okay with you. Oh, Sister Paula Lopez, so nice.
Always with us.
Always with us. So nice, sister, to know that you're okay and that you are supporting your union. Thank you so much, Sister Paula Lopez. God bless you, my dear.
Us apart.
Suspicion
Why torture me?
But let's see, I think we people also, and maybe we have some blame to take for that, in that when it comes to the successes of the union
over the years.
What are the things that we are doing
Through social dialogue.
through
collective bargaining.
bargaining? What are some of the things we have gotten for our members that you may say, okay, the union is weak. I heard somebody saying about negotiation, I wouldn't want Thomas Slayton to negotiate for me and so on and so forth. Well, but let's see, you know I operate, and I do not let those things trouble me. But the fact is, sometimes you just cannot sit there and listen to such nonsense and do not respond. You know. But let's see. I mean, some of the gains we have made on behalf of public officers through negotiation. So if the idea is maybe just salary, you may say, okay, we have not gotten 20% salary increase.
Right.
But the question is, where in the world or even in the region has any union been able for the past
20, 30 years,
10 years or whatever it is,
to get major salary increases?
To get those kind of major salary increases. As a matter of fact, when we travel, but if we arrive there, and we say to our colleagues from the Caribbean, some of the non-salary things we were able to get to our members.
They want to learn from us. You're quite.
But you see, Brother Steve, I believe with our people, they are just known to criticize in the absence of information.
Right.
But
by the time you're quite right, and I mean, maybe we don't blow our trumpet because the objective is not to have too much focus on our achievements, so to speak. But you're quite right that we've made representation on a plethora of issues and have gotten positive results. The expectation too many people have is that the only thing the union should be doing is agitating for salary increase.
For a change of administration.
But the amount of things that we've been able to achieve, apart from negotiating and building the asset base of the organization to make it a strong organization, owning our own property, building our resource base, having capacity within the organization to deliver. That's why we're able to run a program, maybe one of the only unions having a weekly program in the region. And we have a number of programs that we've been able to negotiate on behalf of our members, apart from the insurance. And some people come in onto the organization just to benefit from our programs. They are not activists. But because we have a whole range of programs had to do with education, with insurance, with health and wellness. We have a company that employs close to 100 people. We have a number, including early childhood education. We've gone into that area on behalf of our members. So we have a preschool little gem. So there are a number of things we've been able to achieve, in addition to ensuring that over the years we've either come out with a 3 or 4 or 5% salary increase. We've coined the term double bubble. People getting those kind of. So yes, people expect more.
What about pension?
Pension.
We were the one who negotiated a bridge pension for public officers. Because when public officers would leave at 60, they would have been forced to take a reduced pension. We negotiated a bridge pension. And
they would not have known how they're going to gain a penny between 60 and 65 had they not been able to benefit from that bridge pension.
The level of support we wanted from the non-established people. As a matter of fact, when we were surprised when only established people get it.
Yes.
But that is something, Brother Steve,
we still have to address.
We have to address. So the pension. Man, where else in the region are you hearing of a bridge pension? So the person retires at 60.
Yes.
But government will pay you whatever your pension supposed to be at 65.
Yes.
Government will pay that to you
until Social Security.
Takes
over at 65.
Takes over.
Right? These are things
we have said to the government, and we said it very strongly. We do not want our members to be following any queue after hurricane or any disaster, and try and or have to go to a pal rep. So we wanted to put some money on a side so that with proper assessment and so on, public officers can benefit from that.
Absolutely.
Right? These are some of the things we were able to negotiate. We were highly, very much involved in the discussion about the public sector management act and so on.
That's right.
Right now we are making some final contribution to that, Brother Steve.
Yeah.
I have just complete the correspondence to the CAPSEC, which we will get sometime tomorrow, very early in the morning.
Right.
We have been involved in so many
On
things.
behalf of our members.
On behalf of our members.
Yes.
Right? On behalf of our members.
Yeah. So,
And therefore I'm saying to some people, if you feel we are not doing a good job, and sometimes what some of them do, Brother Steve, is that they pretend that they are public officers. There was somebody who called all the way from Viecas not too long ago and said that he is a public officer and the union should not be discussing
and trying to determine our agenda.
Yes, but we did our homework and we know exactly who that person is.
Yeah.
So I am saying, if you want to set certain objective for us, well, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But we know what we are focused on. We were very, very much involved from the beginning. We have been part of that committee pushing for electoral reform in the country. I mean, we say, look, some people are going to criticize us. Some people are going to say, okay, we have been political. But we saw the need to be part of such an exercise. And we participated, never missed one meeting.
Exactly.
Right? So we did a lot of things.
Provide our space for
space for
meetings,
us.
for sessions. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We provided we made sure that our headquarters, our conference room was available at no charge.
At no charge.
Right?
Yeah, so
so we are very much involved in certain things, and the whole thing is, yes, there is still a lot to be done, but the union is playing its part. And I think that is what people should understand, that whatever we feel for the country, we have been making statement. We have never, this is one union that have made statement on many things.
Nationalism.
We influence what the region does, Brother Steve. When it comes to statement on COVID, as far as employees are concerned and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 documents were prepared by the Caribbean Public Services Association and myself as General Secretary of the DPSU and also the CPSC.
Of course.
And Brother Steve, you as President of the DPSU were very much involved.
Instrumental in
framing
those documents.
In really crafting those documents and so on. So we have worked. We have worked and we have produced. And yes, people can criticize, but at least be fair, man. Be fair.
Correct. We see some people trying to.
Yes. So yes, our numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, and 616-4257. Overseas line it's 305-432-9624. We appreciate you calling and make your contribution to this evening program. As I said, next week, the Lord's willing, Brother Steve and myself will be looking at a detailed history of the Dominica Public Service Union.
And I think, Brother Lita, what we're doing is not seeking to appease anybody and their criticism or to dwell on the past, but I think we have to understand where we came from in order to move forward.
I agree with that, Brother Steve. We have a caller. Good evening, caller. Thank you for calling.
Yes, it's me again. You can hear me well?
Yes.
I don't boast myself. I rather people boast me. But you see, my gratuity, I can boast about it. Thanks to my public service union.
Yes.
I got my gratuity.
Exactly.
And the check didn't fool me. As much as it was, I covered my house with it. That took me out of loan very fast.
Thank you.
My house finished paid very early.
Thank you, my dear.
Excellent.
And next to the person that had called and say he's a public servant, they're Dominica too small for that. You can do that in a big country like this state. But once you're in Dominica, somebody else know who call you. Somebody know you. Somebody know you.
Exactly.
We're too small for that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. We had an overseas caller. Let's take that person. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Mr. Later.
And
What's
how
going
are you?
on?
Hi, how are you?
You and your boy Steve. Man, I'm sitting here and I'm laughing at your conversation. You know why?
No.
I heard your interview this afternoon with the young Douglas.
Oh, yesterday.
Yes, I was listening, and I heard him ask you that particular question that you're discussing right now,
Yes.
right? But Steve said something that put it in perspective because I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There have been issues where the people could take to the streets against the government, but they have yet to stand up in unison and do it. Because like you all stated before, you had, the church organization, you had all kind of different NGOs, civil servants, and everybody back in the 70s who stood up. But Steve put it in perspective, and just what I was thinking. There are some people with personal issues, and there are some people who are too coward to stand up and be upfront and in the open to join other organizations or to be vocal with other organizations to confront some of them issues. So what they are waiting for Mr. Linton to step up as a UWP. They're waiting for Linton to step up as a union. And these are the things that people are waiting for. I tell you what, I heard this first lady, Miss Vidal, who does the prayer session for the concerned citizens movement. She put that same thing in perspective. You have a lot of people cowards sitting back, waiting for somebody else to fight their fight for their liberation. It does not work that way because later on Steve cannot put their name out there, and then when you get out there and then you want people to step up, you turn around and look behind you, nobody there with you. You're standing alone. This is not going to get it. Mr. Layton, you mentioned the Prime Minister. When you all spoke out at the thing at the college, he realized the fire was getting hot. What he did is step up. The coward fool. Mr. Layton, here's the problem we have on island, and you all have said it over and over again, but it must be heard because some people didn't hear it the first time, some people didn't hear it the second time, so you have to keep saying it. Listen to me right now. I'm calling your show. I'm not a union member, but I am a citizen of Dominica, and I choose to speak out, and I feel I have every right. But most of all, it's a show for the public service union, and you don't hear the public service union members calling or saying anything. It's when you're discussing a pension, somebody, well, what about me? Well, you don't talk about the seniors to get that money, or you don't talk about that one to get the money. Where are you when people want you to stand up for your money? These are the things that people don't understand. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You must participate. You must be in the organization of everything that's going to take place that brings forth the fruit that you wish that to get. And it's not going to happen by one or two people at the top. I hear people call all the time. They give you this. Well, the union ain't doing this. The union ain't doing that. The opposition ain't doing this. But the opposition is not just two people. It's not the leaders. Yes, the leaders could say, well, the people need to come up and let's do this and let's do that. But the people themselves have to be prepared to stand up and say, we'll stand with you in numbers. We're not talking about 10 people and 5 people when you call people out. These things are never going to come to pass until the people decide they're going to stand in numbers. And I agree, there have been a lot of issues, and there are a lot of issues that if the citizen wants today or tomorrow to change the country, they could come out in numbers, and that I'm pretty sure that the union will be there with them, the UWP will be there with them, and other NGOs, concerns, all the organizations, NJAM. The country is sick. The country has a lot of ailing issues, but the people, Mr. Layton, there you have the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Yes. God bless you.
Yes.
Yes, brother Steve.
Yes. I agree that there has to be that collective movement, but it begins with some level of consciousness. people being able to move past their narrow view of what their personal agenda is, their personal interest is, to actually begin to see the bigger picture of what is required for us to enhance democracy, what is required for us to have a stronger economy that is more sustainable, not one that is now only standing on three legs, mainly CBI, but one that is well rooted in some serious industries. If we can set our vision on some national goals and national interests, rather than if I'm a pensioner, I'm interested in that. If I am so and so, I'm interested in that. If I am a private sector worker, I'm interested in that. If I am a farmer, I'm interested. No, to begin to understand that collectively, if we want better, let's stand together in unison to get that better.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that's the way forward. I think that is what we should be doing. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Steve.
Yes, caller, good evening.
I called tonight to intervene because on some program the other day, a couple of days ago, I think I heard a lady criticizing you and saying you're a weak union leader. I don't think you're a weak union leader. You're a very strong union leader. What I think is the problem, I think government is not giving the union a chance to do what they have to do. Government have to give the union a chance to do what they have to do. Because you have been my leader, my representative in the public service for many years, and I don't see nothing wrong about you. Because at one time I had to put up a big battle for you, Berlita, because some friends of mine were trying to convince me and tell me that, oh, Berlita is a man that taking money from scary. And I said, no, because Mr. Lita, I know him quite well for a long time since in the health service, and he's not the kind of man that be dealing underhand deal. Mr. Lita is a straightforward man. He's trying to win from ever since. Because I had a problem one time in the public service and asked Mr. Lita to do something for me. Mr. Lita tell me, no, not because my government is in power. At the time, workers are in power. He tell me not because my government is in power. He's going to break the law to please me. Yeah. Mr. Lita is not a man that's going to do things vai. He's a man with a very conscious spirit. That's what I know about Mr. Lita. And he's a man that stands up for the workers' right. From I know him, he always fights for the workers. If the workers just stand with him, they can't expect him to represent them. They have to.
We have lost you. We have lost you. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, caller. Thanks anyway. Thanks very much for the compliments and for the words
but that's good.
of appreciation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you see, there are those who understand, but there are those who criticize without the facts, Brother Latham.
I said so.
Without the facts, and you're quite right. But one of our callers made the point earlier that that his view is that the union should align itself with a party or with a particular leader, political leader, either government or opposition, once it's towards the benefit of the members. And that's a view held by certain regional trade unionists. So we've had trade unionists that aligned itself to the party and became senator or became a minister, and sometimes it works out well, but sometimes it backfires because when you have a membership that is diverse, a membership that has persons who support the government, persons who support the opposition, some who are neutral, some who are apolitical, and the union represents all of them. You have to be very cautious the kind of political stance you take. And I say political stance. You can take a political stance without being partisan. You can begin to be clear on what policies that you want to pursue, what goals you have, and you can assess which party that your goals and your policies are more closely aligned to. without publicly aligning yourself to a political party or a leader. And I think that is a more responsible path to take. And when you have a very diverse membership.
And that is what we have done.
And that is what DPSU have done.
Progressive, I'm glad you have made mention, you are saying that.
Yeah.
Because, again, this is the only union throughout the entire Caribbean. And we are talking about both private and public sector trade unions who have prepared on more than one occasion what we refer to as the People's Manifesto.
DPSU People's Manifesto.
The DPSU People's Manifesto. Outlining guidelines and policies that any incoming government should embark on.
Correct.
But let's see how many people even came to discuss this document.
That's right.
So while this document was being recognized by institutions like Public Service International, that was pleased with our efforts. The Caribbean Public Service Association, and many other international and regional bodies appreciating, complimenting us for the work that we had done. Only union in the Caribbean, maybe if not the world, to really come up with policies that a government should embark on.
Whichever party forms the government.
Well, whichever government.
Yeah.
And even the last election, when we include some guidelines, you know what was said? I will remind the people who said, but it was said, and I quote, that document coming from later, that came from the bowels
of the United Workers Party.
Well, he didn't say United Workers Party, of a political party. There was no consultation with any political party. At all. As a matter of fact, Brother Steve, if I was, and I'm saying so, if I was the leader of a political party in opposition, I would have made it my business,
of course,
to meet with every trade union in the country, to have a discussion with them, so that some of the things they said to me would be reflected in my manifesto.
Of course. That's a responsible thing to do.
But Steve, that was
not done.
Not even that was done. So you know, people accuse you of all sorts of things, you know.
Let's take a few calls.
Yes, I think this person has been waiting for the ball. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling. Overseas line. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Later. Good evening, panelists. I must say you're doing a good job. Meanwhile, I do expect the union to rise up in terms. I think I should leave that for the politics. Everybody has their part to play. But Mr. Later, we're in a country where we're desperate to change that government. You heard of the $70 million that offered to one person, a local person, to build a hotel in exchange for him to sell 400 passports. Mr. Later, when it comes to the economy of Dominica, you know there is a lot of corruption. What are your members saying about that? What effect is going to have when they get in a raise? What is the mood of your members in the union? Thank you.
Very good point. I think Dominicans have to take some time, Brother Steve. Not only the members, but Dominicans have to take some time and reflect on everything that is being portrayed or being sent out as development. I have my own personal position on the CBI, the sales of our citizenship, and the union has a position. And I am saying this evening, I said it earlier this week on Tuesday. That was yesterday, Brother Steve. And I'm saying again today, you cannot have a situation where you are selling citizenship or selling passport indefinitely. Because at some point, and now they have opened to families, at some point, if you are not careful, you may end up, and it's not impossible, you may end up in a situation where the people who are getting economic citizenship can outnumber your own people.
We are a small population.
Because we are a small population.
You're right.
Plus, our people are migrating.
Exactly.
They're going to greener pastures. So you keep on selling those passports. What happened? I believe what should happen is that you should have a cap.
You have to have cap.
You should have a cap that in the next how many years we want to sell. If it's 10,000, if it's how many thousand. In the meantime, some of the monies that we raise from the program is going to be used to build factories and so on and so forth, so that farmers have a place to bring their produce. We do agro-processing and so on and so forth, so that we will no longer, and I repeat, we will no longer have to depend on CBI or the sales of passport. There has to be a cap. There has to be a time frame within which you want to raise so much money, but it cannot go on indefinitely, right? That is a dangerous thing, and we need to look at it.
Well, you hitting the nail on the head, because I think I want to support you, because the reality is you have a program that I think is not monitored sufficiently. The framework is too loose. You're quite right. We should have a framework that suggests over the next 15 years we'll implement this program. We intend to sell 20,000 passports. The target income from that will be $1 billion. We will invest so much in that sector, in that sector. We hope coming out of that, we will have 15 scientists in that field. We'll have 20 agronomists. We'll have, at this level, PhD masters. We will build our human resource.
Exactly.
We will also increase the industries by so much percentage, and we will have that kind of result leading to that kind of impact. And within a sustainable development framework. And if we have set that as a target and we have systems of monitoring, then it is easier now for you to evaluate at every juncture whether you're on track or not. But presently, as you said, we are just selling without the checks and balances.
Correct. Let's see this caller. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead. Make your point.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, man.
To both you and your host.
Good evening.
My co-host.
Listen to what these people are saying, you know. They're saying that Parliament has no oversight over all that money. And we're talking about billions of dollars. And they're saying that that is the way it is. And they are agreeing. And every time the opposition leader brings the point up of accountability, they're saying that that's not how it's structured. Well, I'm saying, if it's not structured that way, it should be. If that is the law, it must be changed. Why? Because Mr. Skerritt has more power than Parliament.
Yeah.
The budget is only, how many million compared to the billions that the CBI is bringing in.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister who's dishing out this money to whoever he chooses has more power than the whole of Parliament. And that cannot be. So this has to be changed. If they say that's the law, it must be changed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, caller. Let's just take a little break. Give our throat a little break.
That's where we always meet, hiding in shadow where we don't belong, living in darkness.
Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, my brother. Good evening.
Good evening, and how are you?
I know it's like getting on that program is like calling a celebrity show. And let me say it without any apology. And let me say it for the world to hear. Calling the DPSU program is like fun to calling a celebrity show where millions are trying to call.
busy lines.
All right.
You get through. And with that said, I must say, I was beginning to lose hope. But I know I'm listening, and you know I'm listening, and Brother Lisa, you all know I'm listening.
Yes.
But we, in a country where it's no longer a rock-hard mountain country, it's a country of quicksand. The more you reel, the deeper you sink.
Sleeping on our feet.
Yeah. And I dare say to you that another caller was alarming the fact that your membership not calling. Let me say to the caller that a unionist in a law firm nowadays. And just give me 2 minutes. Let me explain. It would appear that while unity is strength, that the union itself is becoming a law firm where everybody wants to go and cry privately. Who would come to you and say I'm wrong? Who would come to you and say, I'm right? But nobody really wants to be public. Because fear, I always say to you all on this program, when fear grips your heart, it is the monster that you almost cannot kill. And I'm saying this to say that unless our people stand up for what is their bread, their basic bread and butter, the country remains a land of quicksand. We'll only sing it. I feel sorry to say, but it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to feel it. The majority of us is assassinated on the ground. I am working, I have a job, I come home, I go to work. There's a level of contentment in me, and so I'm not going to stoop down low and compromise my integrity for what I think is what I deem to be bread and butter. But the issue in this country is for all of us to survive. It's for all of us to do well enough, to take care of our family, to send our children to school, to be able to pay our bills, our loans, and to be able to survive. I mean, everywhere is hard. I am not going to doubt that everywhere has its challenges. But our challenges here is that we have reached the point where we are against our very self. We are fighting against our own bread and butter. Bro, I could have said, and I need to say plenty more, but I know
time.
It's a program where we need that deals with time, and time is of the essence. Let me just say to you all, be strong, be of good courage. The one that is fighting our cause is much greater than us. But, and I say but, which is a conjunction to those that are listening, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Correct.
My brother, good night, and I'm ready.
Thank you so much, caller,
good night.
and especially for the last sentence. Where there is no vision,
People perish.
the people perish. You didn't say it, God said it.
Well,
Thank you
it's
so much.
It's an interesting analogy that he has used, quicksand. I'm not sure he's talking about the structure and the geological makeup of the country. He's talking about the social, political, and economic reality that we have found ourselves. And too many people are turning a blind eye to the reality. And there are a lot of people who are deeply concerned but are either quiet. Some people have developed a kind of hands up hands off. Some people have left the country and migrated. Some people are just waiting for other people to take action, and they may come out from their hiding places because the issues are real. Some people are powerless. They feel, they either under the NEP program, or they get a little benefit here, they're waiting for a house, they're waiting. So we have a number of scenarios that is working against a movement. But it requires some bold leadership. It requires people being organized. And unions have a role, the opposition forces have a role, including opposition party. Within a democracy, it is a competition of ideas. It is a competition of policies. It is an opportunity to debate the options that the people should be provided in terms of what path the country should take. And I trust we can raise our conversation. I heard the leader, the caller a while ago said he was about to give up. But don't give up, because Dominica as a country isn't going anywhere. And leaders will come and leaders will go. I think we have to continue to educate, continue to advocate, to continue to raise our children in our homes by giving them the information. The family have a responsibility. Community leaders have a responsibility. And if we take that collective approach, pointing to a true, resilient, better Dominica, begin to redefine that resilience that they're talking about. In terms of enhancing our governance, enhancing our economic and social responsibility and our plan for a better Dominica, and ensuring that we have the tenacity not to give up. The union will play its role, but I posit that this is a new dispensation. And we have to move from the 70s, move from the 80s, and realize that we are in a new era and we have to do things differently, Brother Later.
Brother Steve, correct again, you are. And what it calls for is, and we recognized that a few years ago when we came up with a strategic plan.
Correct.
Right? So the union has a strategic plan. We should be reviewing it
very soon.
Very soon. But I think that kind of approach, Brother Steve, should apply to all organizations in the country, including political parties.
Political parties as well.
What is still remaining the same that need to be changed in terms of the structures of the organization, right? In terms of activating maybe committees within various organizations. I must say, at this time, Brother Steve, I am very happy because and I'm sure you'll agree with me, we are seeing a more active education committee within the union. And I really want to commend the members for the work, the tremendous work. I have never seen that before.
Right.
Where they are very, very active. They come up with ideas and so on. We have some training going on, maybe that might go up till June.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We have identified facilitators. They have come up with the virtual. They have come up with the topics.
Facilitators.
Identify facilitators and so on, and they are working.
Correct.
And I'm saying that need to be done within all organizations. Are you just going to sit and depend on a radio station for really making your position known?
Yeah.
What about boots on the ground?
Boots on the ground.
Are you going out there and meet the people?
Yeah.
What community activities, and we need to do that too, Brother Steve. What community activities are we going to identify ourselves with? And remember, we had an outreach program sometime ago where we went to various communities and assisted.
Recognize people, give them some support.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm saying not only the DPSU, we need to revisit that, Steve, I believe it was a good thing. But other organizations need to do those things. You know what is important, Brother Steve? If the different organizations are reaching out to people. You identify yourself with the struggle of the people. They are in need. How many people come together and will organize some foundation, some charitable foundation, so you can help people? Because you know what it would do, Brother Steve? It would make people less dependent on the politicians.
That's right.
You understand?
And with that,
but some of us, we are not doing certain things that we should be doing.
Right.
The politicians are doing it in order to be successful. To win elections.
Exactly, that's their goal.
Stay in power, that's their goal. And we are out there crying and we are criticizing those with whom we should be working.
Right.
All right, caller, we have 5 more minutes on the program, so we'll give you 2 of those 5 minutes to make your point, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'll be short, Brother Later, because Brother Steve said something and it just amazed me. Brother Later, imagine we're supposed to be in a democratic country, and you have a leader in power for almost 20 years now and never had a debate with any of his opponents.
Correct.
I mean that is ridiculous. I mean that Dominica is a special place. I really believe that for true. Never in 20 years a leader, and we're supposed to be in a democratic country, and he never debate, and he gets away with it. And our people accepted, Brother Later. And Brother Stevens right. Politics is a competition of ideas.
Correct.
And he has never come forward and present his ideas, his vision to the people and let people question him. I mean, that is just strange to me. Anyway, I'm listening to
you're listening to the end, yes.
That's right.
Yes, brother, thanks very much for that contribution again. So let's see. Yes, as I was saying, I think we need to reactivate certain organizations.
Absolutely. Or new ones need to be
developed or need to be established. Existing organizations need to review their objectives, what they are there for. The DPSU, we have done that. We have reviewed our constitution, and I think we are well on the way in doing certain things differently.
Of course.
The question is, how many of you out there are prepared?
On the same path.
Are on the same path.
Willing to join with us.
Things in Dominica in 2022, organizations, including religious organizations, non-government organizations, political parties, cannot continue to do things just the way they used to be and believe that we will see results. And that's my final word. Brother Steve, I see we have another...
One more call,
okay,
30 seconds.
Right. Caller, we give you 30 seconds to make your point, and then we shut it up.
Yes, Mr. Litton, I'll take 20 seconds. Let me tell you, I listening to you as usual, and I heard you said something which is very true. There are things we should be doing to help, especially those who are vulnerable, who does not support a political party and they have been victimized. There are things that can be done so that they won't be depending on anybody.
Thank you.
Somebody else is taking care of them as well. I agree with you.
Thank you, caller. Yes. And that is the thing we need to do.
That's it.
At the end of the day, that man cannot feed his family.
He's vulnerable.
Yeah,
of course, he'll be targeted.
The roof on his house is leaking.
And the politician will take advantage of that.
Exactly. And people take advantage of these people. What are we going to do? I'm going to see maybe one of my things I intend to do after I leave that position is to set up a foundation, a charitable foundation. So while maybe I might be relaxed, or I will be relaxing to some extent, but that is one of the things I would really want to do after I would have left that organization. But let's see, you're closing.
We need to read more. I think we need to maybe even look to some countries. For example, we need to look to what the movement was in South Africa during apartheid. Look to leaders, not only Nelson Mandela, but Desmond Tutu, who was religious, but he had a civil consciousness and became a civil activist. So it was not just within the religious circles. You have a number of people who have that posture of piousness and goodness, but refuse to get involved in activism for social justice. And I think more of us need to gain that courage to do more on behalf of our people, our brothers and sisters, towards the enhancement of their quality of life and well-being in Dominica.
Okay, well, folks, that is where we log it up. We say good night to you, and we thank you again for listening and for viewing.
Let me pick up my friend Phil, who's been listening, and he listens every Wednesday. Phil, big up. And maybe next week I'll big up some other people who listens in the diaspora. But thanks for listening.
All right. So we thank you all very much. We wish you all a very good evening, and pray that the remainder of the week